Hi, and welcome to this two-part Solidworks tutorial for a wooden toy pram. Please ensure you download all the DXF, decal and part files for this tutorial from the link in the description. You're going to need these to complete the tutorial. To begin, start a new part. Click onto the right plane, but don't open a sketch. Go to Insert from the top bar, DXF, and browse for the pram side DXF and open it. The DXF dialog box will open. Click Next. You can see the preview of the DXF in the black box here. Change the dimensions to millimeters, then click Finish. Your sketch will come in onto the right plane. Now I need to set some of the sketch entities as construction lines. Hold Ctrl and select all of the circles within the sketch. Then click the For Construction box in the left Properties options. Extrude the pram side by 12mm and OK the feature. From here, sketching onto the other side of the pram extrusion, in the feature tree, drop down the Boss Extrude feature and right-click the sketch and select the eye to show my previous sketch. Using the guide sketch from the centre points of the circles, draw new 9mm circles across all 4 guides. Then extrude cut the circles by 6mm in preparation for the pram hood poles. Sketching onto the cut face, convert all the faces of the circles to a sketch and extrude them by 110mm. This will be half of the pole's overall length. Remember to untick Merge Result as they need to be separate bodies. Insert a new plane using reference geometry in the Features toolbar. Then select the end face of the pole's extrusion. Make sure it's flat to the face. This will be my mid-plane for mirroring bodies later. Now working back onto the other side of the pram, start a new sketch. I need to use the guides again to sketch 8mm circles onto the first and fourth pole guide. Extrude cut these by 2mm. This will form a countersink for the pole screws. To insert the screws, go to Insert on the top menu, then Part, and select the screw part. Your part might be named slightly differently to the one that I've got here. We're going to need 2 of these, so click onto the little drawing pin in the Properties Manager. This will keep the part open. Then just drop in 2 screws, then close the feature. To move the screws into place, use Move/Copy Bodies, select the screw. If the mate settings aren't visible, select the Constraints option at the bottom. Click into the mate settings box, click the face of the screw and then the face of the pram side. You may need to flip the mate alignment. To do this, click the other button here. This will flip the screw into place and then select Add. Next, click the round edge of the screw and the round edge of the countersink hole. It should automatically mate as concentric. Click Add and OK the feature. Do the same for the other screw. Now I need to create the screw holes into the pram bodies. To do this, use Move/Copy Bodies again. Select both screws in the bodies to move box. Then tick Copy and change the instances to 2. When you click OK, a warning sign will pop up to say that you haven't moved the parts. Just ignore this. Using the Combine tool, change the operation type to Subtract and select the pole as the main body, and then the screw to subtract. Then repeat for the pram side, subtracting the second screw copy from the bodies. I then do the same for the other screws and bodies, so that I'm left with 2 screws and screw holes in the bodies. Moving on to the pram wheels, I start a new sketch onto the pram side and again use the guide sketch to draw 7mm circles parallel to each other and cut through all. Of the pram side panel, I need to create another countersink hole. So draw 12mm circles from the centres of the cut extrusion and cut extrude these by 5mm to make room for the wheel fixings. Before I start the wheels, I need to add washers. Start another sketch on the pram face and sketch an 18mm circle with a 5mm inner circle. Do this for both wheel holes and then extrude the washers to 1.5mm. Remember to untick Merge Result and OK the feature. Next is the wheels. There are 2 different sizes, so sketching onto the face of the first washer, draw a 75mm circle for the front wheel and an 87mm circle for the back wheel. 7mm circles within each wheel. Extrude the wheels by 18mm and untick the merge result. Fillet the outer edges of each wheel by 5mm. You will have to fillet one wheel at a time because they're separate bodies. Now I can bring in the wheel fixing. For this I'm using a rivet bolt, so as before, go to Insert, Part, and then select the rivet bolt. I'm going to need 2 of these bolts, so I click on the little pin, and then click in twice to drop 2 bolts, and then OK the feature. Move the bolts into position with the Move and Copy Bodies feature. Make sure Constraints is selected to use mates, and also make sure that you select all of the bolt, as it is made up of 3 separate bodies. Go into the mate settings and mate the back face of the bolt washer to the wheel's front face. Click on Add. Then select one of the round edges of the bolt, and then the round edge of the wheel hole, and the bolt should automatically mate into the centre of the wheel like this. Click Add and OK the feature. Repeat the same process for the second bolt. Moving on to the handlebar. Use the sketch guide and sketch a 5mm circle and cut extrude through all. Then on the other side of the pram panel, sketch a 20mm circle from the centre of the cut and cut extrude the sketch by 6mm, making space for the handlebar. Sketching onto the cut face, convert entities and extrude half of the handlebar by 110mm, unticking merge result. Now I need to add the bolt for the handlebar ready for the end balls. Go into Insert, Part, and select the double-ended threaded rod. We only need one of these, so drop the part in and select OK. The bolt needs to be mated into place, so I use Move Bodies feature again. Start by mating the middle flat face of the rod to the front face of the pram. You may need to flip the mate alignment and select Add. Then make the middle round edge of the bar to the edge of the hole and OK the feature. Before I create the end balls, I need to copy the threaded bar. Use Move Copy Bodies, select Translate/Rotate, and select the threaded bar. Make sure the copy box is selected and change the instances quantity to 2, and OK the feature. Again, just ignore the warning message. Using the Combine tool, I subtract one of the rod copies from the handlebar, and the other rod will be subtracted from the end ball in a moment. To create the end ball for the handlebar, I need to add a new plane. So go to View, Hide and Show, and make the temporary axes visible. Go to Reference Geometry, select the front face, then the axis in the handlebar. Sketching onto the new plane, draw a 30mm circle, and draw a 25mm line down the centre, and then down to the circle's edge. Trim away the excess sketch with Trim Entities, and move the sketch using Move Entities from the top end point and line it up with the axes and the pram side. Once it's in place, I can revolve the shape from the top edge and untick merge result. Hide the pram side by right-clicking and select the eye. Now I can see the extra threaded rod. I can combine and subtract the rod from the end ball, so that I'm left with one rod. From here, go to Solid Bodies in the feature tree and select Show to bring the pram side back into view. Sketching onto the inner pram side, select the edge and go to the Offset Entities. Type in 5mm, a preview line will appear. Make sure the line is on the face of the pram. If not, check the reverse box and OK the sketch. Do the same for the other edge. Using the line sketch, draw from one point, keeping the line horizontal. Sketch just past the other point and drag the offset line down so it crosses the horizontal line. Trim away the excess sketch. Drag the top point of the line closer to the pram hood poles and change its dimensions to 120mm. Then drag the bottom line down a little and sketch a centre line from the middle edge of the pram to the horizontal line and change that dimension to 25mm. Clicking into Features on the top bar, select Extruded Cut and check the Thin feature box. Make the thin feature dimensions 4mm and the top dimensions 6mm. This creates a gap for the main boards of the pram. Then sketching onto the cut face, offset the face by 0.5mm check the reverse box and OK the sketch. Extrude by 220mm, unticking merge result. I want to split this extrusion into 3 parts, so sketch onto the face of the extrusion and draw a line from corner to corner. Keeping the sketch open, go to Features and select the Split tool. Then select the extrusion as the cut body, and check all 3 boxes to keep the 3 bodies. OK the feature. When I hide the split sketch, you can see the extrusion is now 3 separate bodies. Next, I'm going to create the cavity for the wheel rubber to sit in. Select in the face of the wheel, add a new plane, and distance it 9mm from the face, so that it is in the centre of the extrusion. Sketching onto a new plane, offset the wheel by 3mm and reverse the direction. Do the same for the other wheel. Then draw another circle as larger than the wheels on both, and cut extrude mid-plane by 3mm. To add the rubber, sketch onto the face of the cut extrusion. Draw the first circle to meet the inner edge of the cut on both wheels. The sketch highlights orange when it's on the edge. Select both circles and offset the entities by 4mm, and OK the sketch. Extrude the rubber by 3mm and untick merge result. Now I need to fillet the edges of the rubber inserts by 1.5mm. I do this to both visible edges. Now I'm up to the fun part. It's time to mirror all the bodies of the pram. To do this, select Mirror Bodies in the Features toolbar and select the middle plane for the mirror plane. Then select the drop down for Bodies to Mirror. Looking at the pram from the front, click and drag to select half of the bodies. Make sure Merge Solids is unticked and OK the feature. I now need to combine all the pole halves into single poles. I'm using the Combine tool and Add to join each pole. Each one needs to be combined separately as they are all separate bodies. Moving on to the pram hood, I'm going to start a new sketch onto the inner pram face. Change the display style to Hidden Lines Visible and select the Circle Sketch tool. Using the location of the poles, I'm drawing 14mm circles around each pole and then joining them up using the Spline tool, trying to create curves for the pram hood fabric. I also add a curve at the end of the hood. From here, I extrude the sketch using Thin feature. I select all the contours of my sketch and change the Thin feature dimensions to 1mm for the fabric thickness. Change the width of the extrusion to 195mm and change the direction of the Thin feature to mid-plane. I'm going to move the hood to the centre of the pram using Move Bodies. Unticking the copy box, I move the hood by 6.5mm along the x-axis. The final step of the model is creating the scalloped fringe on the pram hood. To do this, I need to add a new plane off the front plane so that it is ahead of the pram fringe. Once I have this, I can start my sketch. Take the Circle Sketch tool and draw a 25mm circle and use Move Entities to place it in the centre of the hood edge from the bottom point of the circle. The point should snap to the centre. Then, with the circle selected, click the Linear Sketch pattern and change the first dimension to 25mm and the instances to 5. To make the sketch pattern go the opposite way as well, select the Y-axis dimension box and then select the edge of the pram hood. Change the dimension spacing to 25mm and the instances to 5. From here, draw a line down past the end of the hood and straight across to the end point of the last circle. Then draw another line through the centre from the first circle to the last. Use Trim Entities to cut away the top halves of the circles and the middle line. To soften the scallop pattern, I'm going to use the Sketch Fillet tool and click on all the draining lines and fillet them by 1mm. I'm doing this to get rid of the sharp points. Trim away the excess lines created by the fillet. The sketch should highlight blue, showing it is ready for cut extruding. Using Cut Extrude, cut into the hood fringe, but not right through the hood. Also, remember to change the feature scope to only select the hood for the feature. Once I'm happy, I can OK the feature. The pram is now ready for all the appearances and decals. Thanks for watching part 1 of this tutorial.